How you guys doing? Welcome to day 3 of pre-calculus. So today we're going to be factor by grouping, factor difference of two squares, factor perfect squares, factor sum and difference of cubes, and factor an expression completely. So if you can't read my writing, this is factor. So if you want to copy it down, this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, so let's do the first step. It's factor by grouping. First one. Factor by grouping. So we have problem x cubed plus x squared plus 4x plus 4. So how do you do this? Okay, so we want to factor by grouping. I just want to emphasize that factor by grouping, you usually see there's 4 terms, but it doesn't have to be 4 terms. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8. It could be more than 4. And so I just want to, for this class, we're just gonna talk about mostly the basics. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Okay. So this factor by grouping. Usually, you want to factor by grouping. You want to find something they have in common. So I'm gonna put a parenthesis here and parenthesis here. So in this case, they have something in common, which is what? The GCF is x squared. Here, what's left? You have x plus 1. Here, if I factor out what? 4, I have x plus 1 left. As you notice, our goal is to find the same thing that they have in common. See, they both have an x plus 1, then they should work. You have x plus 1, then you just, what's left? X squared plus 4. That's it. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's do B. Should be able to be on the bottom. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6. So how do I factor this by grouping? I do the parentheses thing. So here and here, in this case, we want to put a parentheses where the negative is. You don't have to, but in this case, it's usually when you factor by grouping, you want to have a negative outside. So let's factor out an x squared here, right? Then this is going to be x minus 2. And here I factor out a negative 3 and I have x minus 2, right? So as you notice, they both have an x minus 2, which is good. Let's say if this was minus 3, then I know I did something wrong, right? So this has to be both the same. Now all I could do is factor the GCF to have x minus 2 in common, and then you have x squared left and then minus 3 left. That's it. So be careful here when I factor by grouping. You saw, notice I took out a negative 3, so I gotta switch the sign as well. So there you go, that's first 2. Let's do some more examples. If you feel like you need to pause the video or go back, feel free to pause the video. It is kind of like a review, so it's a little bit accelerated. So x cubed so see if you can do this one. Okay, so we can factor by grouping. Here parentheses, factor out an x squared. This is the x plus 4. Here, you notice there's nothing we can factor, but you can factor out a 1 if you want to, right? This is really a 1 outside, so this is going to be x plus 4 plus 1 times 1, right? Times 1. So this is going to be x plus 4 left, and then what's left is x squared plus 1. Okay? Let's do another one. Okay, let's see. Let's D. Okay, so what can I do? I can factor by grouping, right? So let's do that. So parentheses, yes. Here, factor out a 3x squared, just x squared, right? And what's left? We have 3x minus 1. And I should get the same here. If I factor out a GCF, they have something in common, which is I can factor out a negative 2. Then you have 3x minus 1. Times C. If I do factor out a negative 2, I'm not going to get this, right? So it's plus 2. Be careful, it's plus 2. So I should get 3x minus 1. So I get 3x minus 1. They have in common what's left. You have x squared plus 2. So when you notice I made that mistake, I don't get this. So that means it has to be positive 2, not negative 2. So we just factor by grouping. Okay. Let me give you another example. I'm going to erase D. I'm going to do, this is E now. So factor this by grouping. I have x cubed plus 4 plus x plus 4x squared. So try that out. Okay, here, I don't know if you noticed, but here is actually the same as this. I just rearranged them. So in this case, I can't really find a common denominator. So what I can do is basically just did what I did here, rearrange them, right? Plus 4x squared plus x plus 4. It doesn't even matter. I can put 4 plus x. It doesn't matter. As you see, it's back to here now. And if you go back to here, it'll get this, right? We factor out the GCF, right? I'm just gonna do it. What the heck? Factor out the x squared. I get x plus 4. Here, there's really a 1 there, right? You don't have to write 1, but this is x plus 4. And then you have x plus 4. You factor out x plus 4 here, x squared plus 1. So you notice it's the same thing. So sometimes you have to arrange them where you can factor by grouping. This is plus. And you can put parentheses here if you want. Okay, so there you go. That's factor by grouping. So let's do the next thing we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing factors difference of 2 squares. Difference of 2 squares. So we know this formula, a squared minus b squared is equal to what? Difference of 2 squared, a minus b, a plus b, right? So applying this formula, we're going to do some problems. So we have x squared minus 1. So how do you factor that? So in order for us to factor this using this technique, this is a difference of 2 squares, right? So I gotta identify a is equal to x, in this case b is equal to what? Not 1, not negative 1, it's 1, right? And really I can rewrite this as x squared minus 1 squared. So that's why it's a equals x and b equals 1. Now we can apply it. And if I factor this is going to be x minus 1, x plus 1. Applying this formula. That's it. So let's do another one. See if you can try it on your own. X squared minus 4. Okay, so here, this is really the same thing as x squared minus 2 squared, right? Because that's our goal, to get that for factors of difference of 2 squares. So in this case, if I factor this is really just a is equal to x, b is equal to what? Not negative 2, right? 2. So in this one, it's just going to be x minus 2, x plus 2, right? That's it. That's factor difference of 2 squares. So we just learned factor difference of 2 squares. Now we're going to move on to the next topic. Which is going to be factor for fixed square. So we have this. So identifying a perfect square, we have this form: a plus b square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Yes? And this is the same thing as a plus b times a plus b, right? They're all equal to each other. Now let's do some problems. So we want to go actually identify this is equal to this. We want to factor perfect square. So let me, you can rewrite. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to write it. So we have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is equal to a plus b squared, which is also equal to a plus b. Okay, so we have the, let's go back, let's go to this. Let's go to this. So let's do this first. Just rewrite it like this: a plus b, which is equal to a plus b squared. So we're gonna go from here to here. Okay, so let's think about this one. This is, let's do an example: x squared plus 2x plus 1. We want to factor this. When we factor this, I get x plus 1. But when you notice there's two of this is just x plus 1 squared. But applying the formula, you don't have to do it from here to here. You can just think about this being to this. Applying the formula, so this is going to be a is equal to what? 1 x, and b is equal to 1, right? So applying that, you can go from here to here. From here to here, how do I determine that? Is just think about it. This is just x squared, right? It's the same, this idea. How it makes, trying to explain it better, but yeah, that's it. So it's in that form. So let's see. How can I try to see? I think just trying to get the idea. So let's do another example. Maybe it makes it more clear. Okay. So if I factor this, I'm gonna have x plus 2 times x plus 2, but we want to go from here. We want to go from here to here, right? Identifying this is a perfect square. Now let's think about it. Oh, there you go, I got it. So this is really in that form: x squared, right, plus 2 times a. What is a? You gotta determine what a is and what b is. In this case, a is x and b is 2. So 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is 2, plus 2 squared. You notice? So it's in that form. It's in this form. Now we want to go from here to here really quickly. So x plus 2 squared. And it takes practice, and you'll get used to this, and you'll recognize, that's equal to that. So that's take practice. So let's do another one. X squared plus 10x plus 25. See what you get from that. So you gotta identify a, right? What is a? A is equal to x, b is equal to 5. You might not be able to see that, but since it's in that perfect square form, you can see this is y. So let's just erase this. A is equal to x, b is equal to 5. So this is going to be x squared plus 2 times x times 5 plus 5 squared. As you notice, here is equal to this. This is really equal to this, right? Because it's in that perfect square form. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So there you go. So we just learned factor of a perfect square. So we're going to move on to factors, sum and difference of cubes. Yeah. So anytime it feels like it's going fast, just always pause the video and try it out. Factor, sum, and difference of cubes. Okay, let's do it. So we have this formula, a cubed, so we're doing the factor sum of cubes, is equal to a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared, okay? So let's do an example. We have x cubed plus 1. Okay. So how do I do this? Identify what a is. When I identify what b is, a is equal to x, b is equal to 1. How do I know that? This is really x cubed plus 1 cubed, right? So we have that form. So applying that technique, this is really just a plus b, which is x plus 1. Then you have x squared minus a. What is a? X times b, and then plus b squared, right? And if you simplify this, this is going to equal to x plus 1, x squared minus x plus 1. That's it. Okay, so let's do another example. Okay, this is the cube, x cubed plus 8. See if you can try it out. So a is equal to x, right? What is b? What do you think b is? 2, right? It's in this form, x cubed plus 2 cubed. So applying that formula here, so you just apply it. So you have a plus b, right? A plus b, then you have a squared plus minus ab. A, what is a? A is x, ab plus b squared. I still notice here I can simplify. You have x plus 2, x squared, and I can put the coefficient in the front because that's what you usually have, the coefficient on the front, plus 4. That's it. So we just factor sum of squares. So let's do the difference of squares. What do you think the difference is between the sum and difference? So let's see, this is going to be a minus. What do you think is going to happen? Right? What is the formula? If I had this minus, this would be minus, this would be plus. How do I memorize this? I don't really memorize this. Well, yeah, I guess because I've done 1,000 of them, but there's one way to memorize it. But here I can think about so. That's what my teacher told me. So what does that mean? Basically, what so means is this is always the same, this is always opposite, and this one is always positive. So same, opposite, always positive. So that's one way that I remember it. Okay, so let's do an example. X cubed minus 1, so it's not that much different than the one we did, except we just have the formula. So try it out. Oh, we got some practice problems after that. I think so. Nope, not yet. Okay. So how do I do this? Identify A. A is equal to X, right? A is equal to X. B is equal to 1, right? Because this is X cubed minus 1 cubed. So you have X minus 1, X squared plus X plus 1, right? How about let's do another one, X cubed minus 8. Let's try it out. Okay, so what is X? What is A? A is equal to X, B is equal to 2, because it's not negative 2, be careful, it's just 2. So what? Then you have X, because this is in the form X cubed minus 2 cubed, right? So you have A minus B, which is X minus 2, X squared minus 2 plus 2AB plus B squared, which is what? 2. 2 squared is 4. That's it. Okay. So we just did factor sum of difference of cubes. Okay, so we're moving on. All right, that's our cubes. So now we're doing a factoring expression completely. Completely. Okay, I got it. 2x to the 4 minus 8x squared. And you have, so try, let's see, factoring expression quickly. I just factor out the GCF, which is what? They have 2, look at the numbers, 2 and 8, they have 2, x squared, and x to the 4, you have x squared. What's left? You have x squared minus 4. Are we done? No, it says completely. So we gotta completely factor it. So it's x minus 2, x plus 2, right? Okay, next one. See if you can try it. Y squared minus xy6. So what's the GCF? The GCF is what? X from x to the 5th and x, just x. And y squared and y6, just y squared. You have x to the 4 minus y, right? X to the 4 minus y to the 4. Yes, is that correct? Yeah, okay, so now I can still keep going, right? For this problem, what can I do? I can still factor this. I'm running out of ink. X, y, x squared, this is a difference of 2 squares also. X squared plus y squared. So this is a difference of 2 squares. I can still keep going. X minus y, x plus y, x squared plus y squared. Right? That's it. There you go. So let's do some practice problems. Practice problems. Practice problems. So we're gonna factor first. We're gonna basically what we're doing is factoring. So we've been doing the whole time. So let's do 1 x cubed plus x squared plus. So if you don't get one of the questions correct, figure out why you did it wrong, and also go back to the video if you don't quite understand why you didn't go right. So these are kind of like a pre-test, you could say, these practice problems I do. So that's number 1. So once you do number 1, do number 2. You should have room here. It's gonna do 2 problems at a time. 2x cubed plus x squared minus 6x minus 3. So pause the video if you have to. So we're making good time, so we should be fine. All right, let's do this. My video is usually 30 minutes long. So how do I do this one? I just factor by grouping, parentheses, right? Factor out what? X squared, you have x plus 1, right? Here you can factor out a 1, it's optional. So then what's left? You have x plus 1, x squared plus 1, right? Factor out x plus 1 was left, x squared, here you have plus 1. And here, I what? What do? I factor out a 2, x, no, not a 2, but x squared. Here, I get 2 plus 2x plus 1, right? Here, I factor out what? I got factor by grouping here. Factor out a -3, I get 2x plus 1. You notice they have the same thing, so we factor out 2x plus 1, you have x squared minus 3. Okay? So, there you go. Do this one is x squared minus 36 and x squared minus 49. So let me write it here. So I factor this. This is really the same thing as what? X squared minus 6 squared, right? So a squared minus b squared. So this is going to be x minus 6, x plus 6. Same thing here, right? This is going to be x squared minus 7 squared. Yes? This is really the same thing as x minus 7, x plus 7, right? There you go. Pretty quick. See if I can make another one now. Alright, that's it. 2 at a time. Alright, so next one. Number 5. X squared plus 6x plus 9. So try it out. Try it out. Okay. So how do I factor the top? I know it's in that perfect square form, right? So this is really x squared plus 2 times 3 times x plus 3 squared. So it's at a plus b squared form. So this is just x plus 3 squared, right? Same thing here, right? This is x squared plus 2 times 6 times x. You notice this is supposed to be b first. This is b and this is a. I just switched them on order because usually you want the coefficient on the front. But a is x and b is 6. So b squared. This is x plus 6 squared. And you can switch them. By multiplication, you'll be able to switch them in this case. Okay. All right, let's do that next. Let's do the next one. X to the 6. X to the 6 plus 8. Whoa, how do you do that? How do you do that? 8. So try it out. So how do I factor the first one? What I do, this is really x squared cubed plus 2 cubed, right? So applying that formula, you got a plus b, x squared plus 2. A squared is x to the 4 minus ab, which is what? X squared times 2, so 2 x squared plus what? B squared, which is 4. There you go. That's how you do it. Oh, you got that one. That one's a bit tricky, huh? So this one, this is really in that form 2x cubed. Same thing with this one, right? So in this case, it's in a cubed minus b cubed. So you have a minus b. 2x minus 1. Then you have a squared, which is 4x squared, plus ab, which is 2x times 1. So it's just, I don't know how to write it, plus b squared, which is 1 squared, which is 1. There you go. Okay. So if you didn't get this right, go back to the video, apply the formula. Okay. See how that works, how I got that. All right, let's do the next one. So we gotta factor pressure completely. So 9, 4x squared minus 16x minus 20. So pause the video when you get a chance. I'm gonna go kind of fast on this, so try it out for yourself. That's 10. Pause the video. Okay, so here I factor out what, 4. Then what's left? X squared minus 4x minus 5. And this one you could factor. You have x minus 5, x plus 1, right? Okay. And this one, I factor out what, 2x, this is GCF. You have x squared minus 9. And I can still keep factoring. This is x minus 3, x plus 3. There you go. How many people got all of them correct? Okay. If you didn't, just go back to the video, try to understand why. It's just applying the formula and try to understand why. Okay. So I gave some problems. So the problems for homework is page 32. It's going to be number 57, 58, 61, 63, 76, and 92. As I mentioned before, I don't give a lot of homework problems. I just want students to be able to understand it. They make sure they can do the problem. And if you have to redo the problems, then redo it. And the best way to know how to do a problem is to teach someone. That's it. And what book am I using? I'm using the book Stewart edition, 5th edition, Stewart. I show it at day 1. I don't have it with me, but that's the book I'm using. Go to day 1 if you want to look at what it looks like. It's 5th edition, Stewart.